consulting days and also some export kind of training for those small and medium companies that have experience in certain areas. Next slide, please. Slovakia is an excellent environment location for investors for several reasons. One is our location in Central Europe. Within 1,000+ kilometers, you can reach 600 to 700 million consumers on the west side, well-established, but slowly growing economies on the east side, very high potential, high-growing economies, so we can serve many times the bridge between those. Big winner for Slovakia has been, in terms of foreign investment, the fact that we have been on the Eurozone, very low risk, and for many overseas investors really appreciate it very much. Next slide, please. Since we are in the middle of Europe, the transportation logistics is very favorable, even though we don't have direct access to the sea, but we are well connected to all corridors, railways, highways, and we have access to 7 ports that are not that far, and all the logistics is very well worked out among those. So all these companies that produce in Slovakia are going overseas, easily can access one of these ports. Next slide, please. Another attractive point for Slovakia is very high productivity. Slovak labor force is very well qualified and very efficient and effective. And Slovakia has the highest productivity in Central and Eastern Europe. It's growing faster, somewhat faster than real wages. One of the underlying reasons for that is that we are one of the top of the countries of installation of industrial robots for 10,000 employees, automation, and mainly due to our foreign investors that are bringing in top-notch municipalities. We have a very high tech, one of the highest high-tech manufacturing leaders. The top 6 in our country measured, and also we have a very high share of added value employment, highest in Central and Eastern Europe. Also very low number of lost working days due to industrial action, and also high share of people working at night. All of this collectively gives investors excellent workforce, very high productive and very loyal to investors. Next slide, please. Another big attractive point that's becoming more and more important is energy. All of these new sectors like e-mobility, but also data centers, when you look at those new ones that are being built for AI, will need lots and lots of energy. Slovakia is already exporting and will be exporting even more, so we have abundance of energy, but also the mix of the energy is very attractive. We have one of the lowest in Europe right now, low carbon energy. It was 85% in 23, 24 we don't have final numbers, but it will be close to 90%. Again, it's one thing is to have abundance of energy, but we also have very stable energy. Because the nuclear base that we have is fantastic for investors that really need solid and stable energy, and also low carbon. One of the reasons why for some of the investors in Slovakia is just because of this energy. Next slide, please. Slovakia has a fairly diverse manufacturing base. I'm not going to go into details, but you can see it on the slide, all the way from wood processing, manufacturing, processing, food, metallurgy, electronics industry, chemical, pharmaceutical, medical engineering, and of course, automotive is one of the key pillars. That's also important. Next slide, please. We're #1 producer of automobiles in the world per capita, and as you can see, we have 5 amazing brands in Slovakia, and also these OEMs are producing their top-notch, high-end vehicles in Slovakia. We are very strongly based on automotive. On one hand, we have a strong focus on that sector, but the supply chain is so broad, and the different types of industry that go into these OEMs, It's very diverse, and we are on the leading edge of transformation to mobility. All these big OEMs have very solid plans to do that, so we're building also a special supply chain for e-mobility. Next slide. This is about that one big investment that we won very recently, Swedish Volvo cars. This will be the first state-of-the-art climate-neutral plant. So not only producing only EV vehicles, but also the whole plant, how it's set up, how it's operating, how it will be automated, we will be all climate-neutral, producing 250,000 vehicles. And again, we're expecting a lot of suppliers coming again into this new mobility supply chain. Next slide, please. Defense sector becoming more and more important. We have a long tradition in Slovakia, tradition, excellent production in defense. It's being revived now, of course, we were strong in that throughout the years, but now it's much more focused. Our current government is very keen on supporting the growth of defense sector. So again, it's a significant contribution already to the Slovak economy. We don't have too much time to go into details, but we have some very unique companies that can provide unique services or products in this area, and we expect this sector to grow immensely. Next slide, please. Electronics and electrical components industry, again, long tradition. We have a number of Slovak companies, but again, it's a big brand of foreign investors. So again, this connectivity and ecosystem that they built together is very strong and is now supplying into the e-mobility. So it's really strengthening the transformation process that we are in currently in our industry. Next slide, please. Last but not least, information and communication technology. Again, we have been very strong in this area. A lot of talent in Slovakia, a lot of big guys from the top companies around the world, and there are thousands of people in Slovakia very productive. But we also have our unique intellectual property, our unique companies like SARIO, Innovatrix, asset, we have a worldwide unique systems that they produce. So again, we have our companies in Slovakia that are connected to these big players that settle in Slovakia, that are creating this accelerating cycle supporting the rest of the industry to be more productive. Next slide, please. R&D, necessary component to qualitative growth. We have more than 40,000 people working around R&D, about more than 800 private public R&D organizations. The contribution is about 1.3 billion in 2023. Again, there are some unique areas of research. What we try to do is basically when we get an investor interest in Slovakia, also try to attract some of the technology center or R&D. Of course, we show that we already have something in that area. It's not that easy that we just tell them to come. I think our colleagues from Kazakhstan know that. But we have a very thorough process in that, connecting them to our universities. Some of the investors came to Slovakia just because we have some good research in certain areas. So this is really strengthened by our economy there. Next slide, please. Again, not going to go into detail, this is just for illustration, brand, these investors are in Slovakia, some of them for several decades, very happy and very much growing further. So we like to build on what we already have. So their expansions are important, but they're still attractive to investors. Next slide, please. One of the reasons we have very good success in the area for investors, as any other country, we do have incentives set up for investors in terms of either tax rates, but also sometimes cash grants in specific areas. If you go to areas that are economically less developed, you may get more intensity of support for investment, and this is very important for us. We also have specialized in specific programs to support R&D and automation. So collectively, all these things that I mentioned before are main points where investors are still very much interested in Slovakia. Next slide, please. A little bit about foreign trade, export composition. You can see that the countries that we export to are mostly in the right countries: Germany, Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, which is natural, but we're trying to expand those to other countries, to, of course, Kazakhstan, other countries that are not necessarily in the European Union, because they're looking for areas and regions that are growing fast, and that's important for us. Next slide, please. Import composition, again, similar countries, but we also have very high portion of Chinese imports. But again, with close cooperation with countries like ours, we can certainly boost up the numbers that we have with countries outside of the EU. Next slide, please. Trade cooperation between Slovakia and Kazakhstan, well, it was about 189 million in 2024, which was a 7.5% growth. I think this could be much higher, and the potential is there. You know, these types of events are organized as a vision and business-to-business negotiations and delegation on one side and the other side. We basically, as the SARIO, build bridges between countries. You guys, it's not that easy to cross the bridge, do business. I know it's not easy. You know, for us, it looks like, okay, you guys talk to do business. I know it's not easy, but we have some very capable. So hopefully, this next slide. Providing share will be much higher. Next slide, please. So this is competition or delegation from different areas: agriculture, food processing, engineering, electronics, finance, consulting, defense, construction, water management, energy, and so forth. So I believe that there are many potential new partners, many of you already are working with other companies here. So we as SARIO stand ready to support your cooperation. Thank you very much.
Mr. Šimončič, thank you very much for this very detailed and informative presentation, and it's very amazing.